got a question on human resources. I mean, we're in the state's sporting organisations. I suppose over the last couple of years, a lot of our membership would obviously want to get news quickly. We go to the website. Organisations are starting opening their Facebook pages before and potentially Twitter. One of my concerns, as managing my team, in Victoria being probably a lower profile sport, is how do we actually manage that expectation? And you talked about having staff, basically working 24 hours a day. At the end of the day, that's what we'll probably do in state sporting organisations, just to get our day-to-day job done. And I find that trying to manage that expectation out there quite difficult.
The expectation from media, you're talking about, or from your fans?
From our membership, and just the information that they require. So we might have one staff member dedicated to media and communications, and just trying to achieve what our membership require in a full-time role is hard enough as it is. And whilst we're trying to catch up and be able to provide those services, I think that's a real challenge for us. And I wonder if you have any advice on what information is out there on potentially human resources versus what your audience is. But for example, if we have 30,000 members that we need to service information to, is that an example where we might need 2 full-time dedicated staff members in the area of social media? I don't know if there's any of that research out there.
Well, I think, I think the figures themselves will give you an indication that you've got to work out what the balance is, and this is the difficulty. We're the same in the media. We can spend 24 hours plowing information into our websites, and then we get the figures back. And when we first started our websites, we realised that 95% of the content wasn't being read. 95%. So we changed our policy, we changed the structure, we changed how we promote things to make sure that you get deeper into the site, and we also became a little bit more, tough, I guess, in the decisions on what we put on the site. So I think that's where you're going to have to make some tough decisions as well. Is, are you getting the benefit from social media? Are you getting more members on social media than you are on your website? And change your resources around. You can't do everything, that's the problem. And sometimes you've got to make a decision. Do I spend time putting it on my own website where I have 32,000 people looking at it? Or do I work really hard to get it into news limited publications and I'll get 6 million? So,
Yeah, and also, I know from our experience, we're only a small business with 6 staff, but we might have 30 projects on the go, and we might have a dozen Facebook pages and Twitter pages and websites, etc. to look after. And it's a bit like who does the dishes in your in the staff area. You've got to have a rotation, and I really encourage everyone in your organisation to be capable of doing it and know how to upload a story onto Facebook and have access to your Twitter page, so that it wears you down. If you're the only person that has to do it, you feel like you've got to be up at 4 o'clock in the morning. If one of your state athletes is competing overseas in an event, you want it up at 5 o'clock in the morning so that when people get up, they see it on your Facebook page. You want to be the first to carry that news of that performance, but one person in your organisation, if they have to do it, it'll just drive them around the twist. You can't work 7 days a week. And as Toni said, that New Zealand now have got a rotating staff. They used to rock up, there's no point contacting a journo before 1 o'clock, even 5 years ago. Now, that story will get up first thing in the morning. So that's the way we approach it in our organisation. Toni's right about the website. Our website's now more information portals. It's also the place that you link. Your story has to link somewhere. If it's not on a newsletter page, you get it up on the website, but then it's Facebook and Twitter. So you're linking it to there, so you drive a bit of traffic to your website. But the reason for your website now has become very much just a landing page for information, rather than the news carrying one-stop destination that it used to be. So that's how we approach it. I'd encourage you to think about everyone in your organisation having that social media role, because it's so powerful in connecting with your members. If you've got 30,000 members, you want to try and work as hard as you possibly can to get them all into your social media, so then you can communicate with them directly. You can sell to them, you can promote your events to them, you can communicate the important information that you've got.
The young people in there who, have adopted social media, like, it's like the back of their hand. They know it so well compared to some of us my age and beyond. Utilise them as well. You'd be surprised how many people will be happy to help you out that aren't actually part of your top actual communications team or anything like that.
Just a follow-up from that, Tony, in the sense that getting a feeling that sponsors probably go for the more well-known type sports or offers. Is it more likely that the dominating sports at the moment, let's say AFL at certain times of the year, cricket at certain times of the year, tennis at certain times of the year, are going to increase the coverage at the expense of more Cinderella type activity?
Sorry.
Is there going to be more AFL coverage on digital than there is now, I suppose, is one thing, at the expense of perhaps some of the other smaller sporting activities or more commercially viable perhaps in terms of sponsor value?
Look, I think you're always going to, particularly in Victoria, let's be honest, you're always going to compare with AFL. I mean, it's saturation coverage, as I said earlier. But I think what we have found with the digital products is that we are far more open to covering a wide variety of sports. I can't begin to tell you how often, as sports editor of the Herald Sun, I had conversations with people who love motorsport. So motorsport's got a massive following in this country, massive. Herald Sun probably dedicates 3 stories a week to it. And it's just, they don't believe it's their market. They're wrong, it is. But that's, it basically comes down to that editing process. Is there enough room in the paper for a motorsport story every day? The editor decides no. Yet we're building our motoring content online because there's an audience there for it. And if that migrates completely to digital, I'm okay with that. If it ends up being, state-based cricket that migrates to digital, I'm okay with that as well. It's not a small audience, it's massive and it's growing and it is the future, there's no doubt about that. So I think there is great scope, and I think grassroots sports that work hard can get a voice on our websites, particularly leader. And I think, good stories will appear on metro sites as well. But it's a changing landscape, and you've got to understand that newspapers are still big business. They're our main business, they're our main our main profit drivers at the moment. Until that changes, the resources will always be half and half. As it moves more towards the digital products, the resources will move with it, and the capacity to do more will grow. One of the things that I'm really keen in network sports to do, I would love to have a women's sports vertical. And we'll have it would be basically all-in women's site, but there's nowhere at the moment where you can see quality women's sports reporting. Certainly not in papers. And I think we could create something quite unique, and I think it would be commercially viable as well. And we could work with grassroots sporting organisations and the professional bodies to populate the content on that site, and it would give a real voice to women's sport, because there's some tremendous performances happening that get very, very little airplay. And it's the same with TV, it's the same with radio, you just don't hear about these performances. So that's something that I'm keen to do. It's part of the roadmap, but the roadmap, I can't begin to tell you how long it is. We'll get there eventually.